समान भक्तिवेदांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, so today's class is on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 9, so 619, and it was given in Nellore on the 7th of January 1976.
Dhyan jat papam
janannapi atmano ahitam karoti bhuya vivasa prayaschitam atho katham. Maharaj Parikshit said, one may know that sinful activity is injurious for him because he actually sees that a criminal is punished by the government and rebuked by the people in general, and because he hears from the scriptures and learned scholars that one is thrown into hellish condition in the next life for committing sinful acts. Nevertheless, in spite of such knowledge, one is forced to commit sins again and again, even after performing acts of atonement. Therefore, what is the value of such atonement? Kachit nivartate bhadrat, kachit charati tatpuna, prayaschitam athupartha, manne kunjara sauchava. Maharaj Parikshit said, sometimes one who is very alert so as not to commit sinful acts is victimized by sinful life again. I therefore consider this process of repeated sinning and atoning to be useless. It is like bathing of an elephant, for an elephant cleanses itself by taking a full bath, but then thrown dust over its head and body as soon as it returns to the land. In every religious system, there is a process of atonement. In Christian religion, there is a process of atonement called confession. In Christian religion, there is a process of atonement called confession. The Parikshit Maharaj is practical politician. He said that he had also experienced that a criminal is punished and again he commits the criminal act. Nowadays we practically see also that government has enacted so many laws against criminality, but criminality is going on without any stoppage. We have got practical experience, as we have explained last night, that in the airport the security checking is going on for everyone, which means that after so much education, every one of us, we are dishonest. This answer is there in the Shastra. Jasyasi bhakti bhagavat akinchana sarvai gunai tatra samasate sura. This means that if one is turned to be a pure devotee, then all the good qualities automatically become manifest in him. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena satu dhavato vai. Whereas a non-devotee, he has no good qualification because he is acting on the mental platform. As such, he will be always attracted by material things. In this connection, I shall recite one historical incident from the Puranas. There was a hunter in Prayag, you know, in Allahabad. So he was hunting in the forest indiscriminately. So Narad Muni was passing through the jungle and he was very compassionate to see the animals being half dead and half killed by the hunter. Narad Muni, being Vaishnava, he was very kind to all living entities, so he went to the hunter whose name was Mrigari. So the Mrigari thought that this saintly person is coming to me for some deer skin. So he said, "Sir, don't disturb in my business. If you want deer skin, I shall give you. Please get out of my activities for the present." Anand Muni said that I have not come here to ask for deer skin, but I simply ask you that if you want to kill the animals, you kill them total. Why you are killing half? The hunter said, what is the difference between killing whole and killing half? Actually, he had no idea about papa and punna. Actually, those who are animal hunter, they cannot understand what is spiritual life, what is God, what is sinful life, what is pious life. There is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam quoted by Maharaj Parikhet, Nidvitta tarsai rupagiyo mana bhavau sadha chotra muna virama ka uttama sloka gunanubhadat virajjati vina pasugna. Unless one is animal hunter, he cannot be away from chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. So Narad Muni said that if you kill the animal totally, it is less sinful than you kill them half. Narad Muni said, no, if you kill the animal half, it is more sinful than you kill them whole. The hunter said that from my childhood I have been taught like this by my father. I do not know which is sinful, which is pious. Narad Muni as Vaishnava advised him that you stop this hunting business and I will give you your livelihood. The hunter, having seen a Vaishnava, was little convinced about spiritual life. Then he said that, sir, if you give me my livelihood, then I can give up this business. Then Narad Muni suggested that you and your wife may come with me. I shall arrange for your livelihood. You give up this business. So they followed the instruction of Narad Muni, the spiritual master, and they came with Narad Muni and sat down in a place on the bank of the Ganges at Prayag. Narad Muni gave them one tulsi plant and they sat down near the tulsi plant and he advised that go on chanting Hare Krishna mantra. In the meantime, in the village, it was advertised that the hunter has become a Vaishnava. Let us go and see him. So people who are coming to visit, they are bringing, it is a custom still now in India, that when you go to see some deity or a Vaishnava, sadhu, you bring one mushti rice or atta, you give them as contribution. So he thought that Narad Muni was sending the atta, rice, dal and everything. So he became confident that he would not die because he is chanting Hare Krishna mantra. In this way, he gradually became a perfect Vaishnava. Because he was chanting under the instruction of the spiritual master and committing no sinful activities. So we being in the disciplic succession of Narad Muni, this Krishna consciousness movement, we are advising the same principle that don't commit sinful activities and chant Hare Krishna mantra. So one day Narad Muni asked his friend Parvat Muni, I have got a disciple, let us go and see him. Parvat Muni, his friend. Yes. So when Narad Muni and Parvat Muni was coming to the same hunter who had become now Vaishnava, so he was going to receive his spiritual master by going forward. So while he was going forward towards his spiritual master to receive him, on the way he was jumping in so many places. So Parvatmani asked him that why you are jumping on your way while coming to us. The hunter, the Vaishnava, he replied, said there were so many ants on the ground, therefore I was trying to avoid trampling them. So Parvatmuni was surprised that this man was hunting and killing animal half. Now, because he has become a Vaishnava, he is not prepared to kill even an ant. So, this is the practical instance that if one becomes devotee of the Lord, all the good qualities manifest in his body. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami replied to Parikshit Maharaj that you are saying right, that simply by atonement, simply by punishment, one cannot become honest. Practically speaking, if you simply enact laws to make people honest, it is impossible to do that. So, Sukadeva Goswami said, Karmana karmani rahara na jhatantika ishate avidyat adhikarityat prayaschitam vimarsanam. The Sukadeva Goswami said, O son of Vedavyasa, the Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vedavyasa. Sukadeva Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva. He answered, my dear king, since acts meant to neutralize impious action are also fruitive, they will not release one from the tendency to act fruitively. Persons who subject themselves to the rules and regulations of atonement are not at all intelligent. Indeed, they are in the mode of darkness. Unless one is freed from the mode of ignorance, trying to counteract one action through another is useless because this will not uproot one's desire. Thus, even though one may superficially seem pious, he will undoubtedly be prone to act impiously. Therefore, real atonement is enlightenment in perfect knowledge, Vedanta, by which one understands the supreme absolute truth. In this verse, there is one particular word, vimarsanam. The meaning of this vimarsanam, full knowledge of Vedanta. Then Sukadeva Goswami continued to speak, my dear king, if a diseased person eats the pure, uncontaminated food prescribed by a physician, he is gradually cured and the infection of disease can no longer touch him. If one follows the regulative principles of knowledge, he gradually progresses toward liberation from material contamination. Therefore, in the Vedanta Sutra, it is said that athatha brahma jigyasa. Now this life, human form of life, is simply meant for inquiring about Brahma. At the present moment, especially in this Kali Yuga, nobody is interested in Brahma jigyasa. Therefore he prescribes from scriptures, tapasa brahmacharjena samena cha damena cha tagena satta sauchabhyam jamena niyamena va. One should make his life successful by tapasya, austerity, penance. So brahmacharya is one of the items. Tapasya means begin with brahmacharya, celibacy. Here we have given the meaning of tapasya by austerity or voluntary rejection of material enjoyment. Tapasya brahmacharjena. So tapasya, I do not like something to do because it is pleasing to me, but for the sake of my advancement of spiritual life, I must have it. This is called tapasya. We prescribe 4 kinds of regulative principle: no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. In the Western countries, these 4 things are very ordinary means of life. In the Western countries, practically 10% population, they are addicted to these sinful activities. So, in our society, anyone who joins, he has to accept these 4 principles of regulative life. So, brahmacharya, celibacy, uh, sex, prohibition of sex life, especially illicit sex life. Unless one is married, no sex life is allowed. That is called brahmacharya. Brahmacharya begins with brahmacharya, life of celibacy, or accepting one wife only, that's all. Then samena, controlling the senses, controlling the mind, samena dhamena cha. These 2 things required. We should not become the servant of the mind. We should become master of the mind. And tyagena, therefore in the Shastra, the process of charity is recommended. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also recommended that jagadana tapakriya na tajyam kajameva tat. Because I have renounced this world, it does not mean I shall give up the process of performing yajna, dana and tapasya. It is further stressed, jagadana tapakriya pavanani manishina. Even if you think that you are very advanced, still you should not give up these 3 processes, means performing yajna, giving in charity, and performing tapasya. One must then control the mind and senses, give charity, be truthful, clean and non-violent, follow the regulative principle, and regularly chant the holy name of the Lord. Thus, a sober and faithful person who knows the religious principle is temporarily purified of all sins performed with his body, words and mind. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also recommended, Juktaharo viharascha, Jukta chistya sakarmana, Jukta sapna, Jukta yoga bhavati dukkha. In this way, if we practice yoga, bhakti yoga, then gradually we are elevated to the perfectional stage. Now, one may say that if I give up all these things which is habituated to me, there will be some painful condition. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita has recommended to tolerate matra sparsastu kaunteya. We have to tolerate. This is called tapasya. Even though it is painful for me, it is not at all painful, but those who are trying to practice in the beginning, it may be painful. So Bhagavan, Krishna is advising that even it is painful, you must do it and tolerate it. So, matra sparsastu kaunteya sitosna sukha dukkhada. The example is given. That's like we suffer sometimes in scorching heat and very pinching, chilly, cold. But we tolerate and do our business. Sometimes to cure our disease, say for example fever, we have to swallow very bitter quinine pills. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, considering the people in general of this age, Kali Yuga, he knew that people will not be able to even tolerate such little pain for advancing in spiritual life. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore recommended that Harer Nama, Harer Nama iva kevalam, Kalu nasteva nasteva, nasteva gadhirannatha. It's very difficult in this age to follow the principles of brahmacharya as it is recommended, tapasa brahmacharjena samena dhamena va. But, yes, go on. Therefore, Narad Muni also, Sukadeva Goswami also advising that if one is unable to follow the regulative principles, then he says, Kevalaya, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya, Vasudeva Parayana, Agham Sundanti Kasnena, Niharam Myobhaskara. The translation is, only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful action with no possibility that they will revive. Kevalaya Bhakta, simply, he can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. So, by other processes, temporarily it can be seized, but actually from the root of the cause, it is not possible to get it out. In the previous verse, Sukadeva Goswami gave the example that the dried leaves of creepers beneath the bamboo tree may be completely burned to ashes by a fire, although the creepers may sprout again because the root is still in the ground. You have seen practically on the field, the grass is dried up and sometimes fire is set and it becomes all burned into ashes. But as soon as there is rainy season, again they sprout and become green. The idea is that you may perform the religious ritualistic ceremonies, but if your heart is not cleansed, simply by performing these ritualistic ceremonies, you will not be purified. So we have got two desires, pious desire or impious desire. So either you become desirous of doing pious things or you desirous of doing impious things, the sufferings of this material world will continue. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Urdham gachanti sattvastva madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganna gunavrittista adho gachanti tamasa. So, by pious activities you can be elevated to the higher planetary system in the heavenly planet, but that does not mean completion of your suffering of the material world. Krishna has said therefore, Abrahma bhuvana lokan punaravartinad. Even you are promoted to the Brahma Loka, where the standard of living, duration of life is very, very big. Still, you cannot avoid that, this material pains and pleasure. Because after finishing your resultant action of past activities, you will have to come back again in this lower planetary system. Khine punne puno matta lokam visanti. After the resultant action of past activity is finished, you are again dragged within this lower planetary system. Therefore, unless you take to the devotional path, bhakti, because Krishna says, bhaktyamam abhijanati, javan jasyami tattva. If you want to understand God, Krishna, then you have to take the only path, bhakti or devotional service. So, we shall discuss further tomorrow about this bhakti yoga, and today let us end here. Thank you very much.
I think you might need to sit there for the
Okay, I recovered. Devices. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasidhyubha eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay, let's try to remember what Prabhupada said. We just listened. I just listened. I have few notes. You also have, so let's see. What was verse? Which? You remember? Oh, what was verse? Which verse? We can. Which verse was? Do you remember? I don't remember. Anyway, what 619 in some, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's go without wasting time. It was short class. This was just after explaining hellish planets, Prabhupada's. He gave lots of quotes. Maharaj Parikshit was very concerned how they can be saved from these hellish planets. So there's serious verses which Shukadeva Goswami explains. It's fine. Okay, let's start. Yeah, Prabhupada said, sinful acts are punishable, but one does anyway, because his heart is not clean. He mentions famous example of atonement. He many times quoted that one commits sinful acts and then atones in a church or whatever, and he just does again. I don't know, is anyone from Christian background here? Anyone from Christian background? Have you ever been on this so-called confession session? I've been many times. Anyway, I say my experience there. Because my mother would force me, I was too young to resist. So I would go, and then I didn't know what to say, and then you go into this small cab, you don't see the priest, you just see some bars, and he said, okay, what is your sin at you? We say, okay, I was swearing, I was angry, I was this, and I was, and then he would suggest, did you do this, did you do this? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, just then you do some prayers, you know, that you are repenting and you promise you'll never do again, and then go. And then you chant something, he gives you some prayers, few rounds of prayers, and that's it. And after that, it's your experience. You feel really kind of relief, although it's just a mundane, you know. You feel free and you're kind of spiritual. And then again, and again, and again. So Prabhupada mentioned here also, atonement is usually the same as a criminal also. Commits sinful act, but bija is not removed. He knows, and he makes clever plans how to avoid punishment, but it goes again, does again. So his heart is not clean. That's what Prabhupada was aiming at. If Prabhupada, your heart is not clean from this propensity to sin. Another example Prabhupada said about elephant. You know that example also. Elephant spreads the dust all his body. But there's small thing there. The elephant is not that, he's ignorant animal, but when he's hot day, when he takes bath in the river, he gets refreshed. As soon as he gets out, sun is scorching. So for his protection, he throws the dust over his body. So that's a kind of aim of that. It's not because he wants to be dirty, but protects him. The dust protects his body from the scorching heat. But anyway, example is in Shastra, he throws the dirt over his body again. Prabhupada then speaks about devotee, about all good qualities devotee has, but why? Why his heart is clean? How is that he doesn't fall again back to his bija, sinful bija? You remember what Prabhupada explains? How is that? The devotee is free from that propensity. How? Here's a mic.
Because the root is uprooted, the whole tendency, the whole proclivity to sin is uprooted, the bija is taken out.
Yes, understanding, kind of. Prabhupada mentioned because devotee is not on mental platform, sentimental platform. I don't know, do you have this experience, anyone? How that bija is removed somehow? Is that really true anyway? I have to face you. The Paisma, is it really true that this proclivity, propensity to do again sinful acts is removed? You have experience, anyone? I'm sure must that you kind of stop your. I mean, of course, we all follow principles now, but in desire, in the heart, is it really uprooted? Anyone? Some of them, yeah. Some. Point is that I guess maybe at this beginning stage we are afraid of consequences. Devotee is intelligent because he follows Guru Shastra Sadhu. That's intelligent. Intelligent is not sentiment and feeling. Just yesterday, one man came here. He was kind of Asian, Indian. I was in workshop, and then he was nice, friendly, and then he said, "I'm Christian." You know. I'm a Christian. He said, I was here at this festival, and he said I was not too happy here, and he tried to a little bit criticize, and they said, but anyway, he said I was even angry with God. This rapture is supposed to happen. Rapture, I call this purification, that Jesus will come, and because so many sinful acts around, he was angry with God. He was, but he was, fall back into Christianity. He has a Bible, and he tried to kind of convert me. Anyway, I gave him to somebody else to speak. I forgot the reason why I mentioned him. Anyway, I'm just lost. What was before him? What I was talking about? Oh, is your desire to sin uprooted? Yeah, because heart isn't purified, is not clean yet. Anyway, there was some connection between this. I just forgot the link totally. Anyway. Prabhupada mentioned famous Mrigari hunter story. Yeah, we are speaking how devotee's heart is purified because even if you don't have realization of this knowledge and you understand what will happen, it is not sentiment. So Guru, Shastra, Sadhu, that's what we follow. Therefore, even if desire is still in the heart, we're not going to do. I mean, sometimes it happens, one gets into total illusion. The other day, somebody mentioned to me, one devotee who was here also for quite a few years, and then left and then commit serious fraud against devotees. So this kind of intelligence in somebody can kind of be covered. that he goes back to this, it happens sometime, but if you genuine, sincere, then heart will be, at least initially, what's his injunction of Shastra, you know exactly what's the consequence. And then following process, you come to realize this actually. There is no question of falling back to this sinful act. Srinivas, you want to say something? Sorry.
There was one lecture I was hearing. This is from a devotee, I think Radhanath, my disciple. So he told his story how before coming to ISKCON, he was drinking a lot of tea.
Tea?
Yeah.
Oh. Green tea or black tea? Not herbal tea.
And the parents were worried about him. They thought, what's going to happen to him, drinking
because
of tea.
That's serious.
So then he came to the temple. He just looking around. Devotees told him about the chanting. We do 16 rounds.
Yeah.
You can start with 2 rounds. No, I'm going to do 16.
Yeah.
So he did 16 and the tea went out the window, no more tea.
No more tea.
And the parents were surprised, what happened?
Yeah.
So you get the higher taste.
Yeah, you get the kind of determination, you deliberate, what's his name? Michael, he told me his story. He just gave up his smoking just on the way here, and that's it. He wants to change his life, no messing up. I waste my life so long, although he knew Hare Krishna movement for a long, long time, but was always with him. He said, but, so finish. And we know, like we have experienced, he's very serious, actually. He's very determined, serious, and it's kind of very rare, actually. He's like, he's doing his best, really. It's kind of amazing. So like this, determined, no more, finish. So we all have this experience. Okay, enough is enough. I'm not going to do it again. All of us have experience of this. It's true. It's true. Okay, Mrigari. Yeah, so because he followed advice of his guru, then Narada Muni arranged for his maintenance, for everything, and then this developed faith in him. Actually, it works. As Prabhupada said, he was thinking that Narada Muni is sending through all these people his maintenance, rice, whatever. So he gained the faith and then become perfect devotee. And then later, Prabhupada mentioned that these 2 munis came. What's their name? I forgot. Parvata Muni and Narada Muni. And then he was not even able to kill the ant. So this tweaks, in the mind. You develop, compassion. Begins with knowledge, practice, and then realization. And Prabhupada said we also teaching the same in this subtle succession, the same thing. We get the knowledge, we practice, we get the realization. And Prabhupada said, by atonement, one cannot become pious. You just can be mentioned earlier, you just cannot. Atonement, you do something, okay, let me purify this, okay, and then again, again. Once, when I was doing Food for Life with Parashuram, one man, he was coming every day, nice guy. And he comes there, and then he said once he was walking on the street and he was so sick of pigeons, and he kicked the pigeon, and pigeon got entangled in the barbed wire somewhere and then died. And then he said, but today, there was one pigeon there, couldn't fly, something, I saved him. And he asked me, am I now, relieved from the former sin of killing pigeon? I said, you get both reactions, that's all. Both of them. You cannot purify one year. So they think by sinning and then committing pious acts, I'm free. Although Shastra said you could be free for certain sins by some atonement, prayaschitta, whatever. But anyway, I'm not going there. Prabhupada then gives a long quote of Shukadeva Goswami, explains that how is that on acts and acts, but the heart is not purified, and it comes again, sinful act, come to go to hell. explain this long quote. And then he gives this quote, what is in the beginning? There's a quote, 3 or 4 things. When he adopts, he gets knowledge, and he becomes interested in Brahma Jigyas, knowledge of Brahma. And then it's three things Prabhupada mentioned. He's performing. Remember that? He mentioned Sanskrit, but this is included. Yeah, first he mentioned celibacy, of course. Like, yeah, jnana, yagya, tapa. The Prabhupada mentioned that, yeah. Yeah, tapasya brahmacharya. Tapasya brahmacharyena, jnanena, yagena, and so forth. That's the beginning. You know what is good for me. As we mentioned, we know Shastra says what's good for me. Although it's difficult, but let's tolerate. Prabhupada said, we tolerate. It's difficult beginning. We not have taste for performing sadhana, we don't have. But we have a knowledge. So knowledge saves you. Knowledge becomes, jnana becomes vijnana if it's practiced. If not, just stays intellectual. So you cannot practice. Therefore, many times it's mentioned that, the other day somebody was giving class, even if non-devotees expert, in knowing Srimad Bhagavatam literary, but it doesn't have effect because this is just intellectual knowledge. It stays there. It doesn't take a root in the practicing. Too hard to be purified, so it's not realized knowledge. You have just your ability to memorize, to scrutinize, so many expert people. But if not practicing, it's just external. And Prabhupada said, whoever joins to our movement, he follows those principles. Jnanena, tapasya, jnana, those 3 principles, 4 principles. And Prabhupada said, even if I'm advanced, one must follow those principles. Still, we never give up our 4 principles. Do we? You know any advanced devotee who gives up those principles? He doesn't. He just becomes his second nature. He's not forced. That's the thing. He's not forced anymore. He's not anymore, sadhana bhakti. It's just spontaneous raganuga bhakti. In other, then he mentioned Lord Chaitanya. What Lord Chaitanya says. Remember, he mentioned, Harinama. You have good intelligence. I mean, I noticed over the years, your brain is not gone, although through all this wildlife, I barely can remember anything. And anyway, you see, I just forgot even that, just a moment ago. What did I say? Yeah, Harinama, yeah. He said in previous ages was very difficult practice, but they were able, but it was very difficult. In this age, you cannot take this practice to be purified. No way. Therefore, Harinama. Although, it becomes difficult also. We are so screwed up. I can imagine, like as Kali Yuga advances, of course, we get more screw up. Even in our movement, you have to kind of downgrade a little bit, lose a little bit, Those senior devotees who joined earlier was pretty much bashing, but, somehow you were expected that you cannot do this again. If we would take old school now, it will be much difficult to young persons because they're already bashed over there. They're full of anxieties, and then you have to have extreme patience more than ever, more than before. Somehow just leave them, maintain them, let them not go, let them not fry them, let them. So anyway. So only one who develops it pure devotional service can uproot, as we mentioned earlier. Prabhupada mentioned bamboo, but bamboo in the forest, bamboo also burns. And then it comes back again because the root is still there, so this proclivity to sin is amazing how it is by default, If Prabhupada mentioned famous example of airport, what's happened on airport? But airport, he takes this example of airport. But potentially everybody is a criminal initially. So they check everybody. It's amazing. Everybody is checked, everybody. Even officers who work there, they go to security check. Their bag is scanned, their pockets are checked out. They go through the scanner and sensors. You cannot trust anyone. It's Kali Yuga, of course, There's always something happens. You cannot. So that's a kind of proclivity. It's like by default, we are not don't have proclivity to do pious activities or charitable activities or over there something good. Then there's a kind of demon in our heart constantly takes over. It happens all the time in more or less degree, even in our lives, less degree. Yesterday, somebody gave a class, and I remember just something which I read. Night before that, I spoke with Ananta. Like that. Yeah, I don't know where is that quote from, but it says, which is actually is kind of like a checking point where we are in spiritual life. A very simple sentence is, what I can do in every moment for the pleasure of Krishna. If you just think of it, I was meditating on this, and it gives me like burning coal in my stomach. What is my motivation in anything I do? If I compare with this statement, what can I do at every moment for the pleasure of Krishna? And then at some point, he has to go to that direction. I have to give up. I have to give up this propensity to be me in the center. What is my need? What is my necessity? It doesn't matter. Even health-wise, what drives me? What is my motivation? At some point, he has to be dismantled. And if you go to that, if you step to that road, what can I do at every moment for pleasure of Krishna? You are liberated instantly. Your Svarupa is just there, next to you. It's so simple. It's just one step there. But because of this bija, it's not just a sinful act. I want to do criminal act. But bija is whatever is concerned with my own self, my own enjoyment, my own security. This is all, he has a thread from God knows when. So this sinful proclivity is in us. So that's the kind of thing. Meditate on that. What can I do at every moment for pleasure of Krishna? That's a way of happiness. Anything else brings passion. And passion brings more things, more desires. And then spiritual life is slowed down, stifled. Yeah, by piety you can go on heavenly planets or higher, Prabhupada said also, but you are not free from material life. So now share your notes. Do you remember anything from this class? Come on. I'm not let you go. 2 minutes more. Yeah.
I did have a question.
Question.
I just wanted to ask.
Okay, ask.
I just wanted to ask. The analogy of an elephant, taking a bath and then covering itself in mud.
Yeah.
It's used here, but you said that it gives a function to protect itself from the sun. I was going to say, I don't know if you had any opinions. Do you not think that that's the same way with materialistic people? How they may go and confess, or they may do something to purify themselves, and then they do sinful activities, covering themselves in mud. Do you not think that that's also a way that they're protecting themselves?
I mean, see, it depends. Like Prabhupada said, in every religion there is a way of atonement. There is a thing, prayashita, yeah, every moment. But they have no knowledge. Neither is explained to them properly. The thing is fine. Therefore, there is, every week you go to confess and confess and confess. I don't know, is it anyone was practicing Christianity thoroughly more? Do they have this explanation that actually you're supposed to stop sin completely? Or give the way how to, does it give them knowledge where this leads? Constant sinning, constant atonement. Do they have this similar quote as we, that this is useless, everyone is sinful. Oh yeah. For them is the explanation is that it's impossible anyway to be clean. Yeah. It's not possible. Yeah. We are human. You just accept Jesus and so that means in their philosophy or there is no this purification method, neither knowledge, neither idea that it's possible, because the right process is not given to them. The thing is fine. We are humans, but you just accept Jesus. There's only hope. I guess there is benefit in that, but this class says totally different. You just go on and on and on and on. Anything else somebody wants to share? Anyway, just say anything and let's finish.
No, the points has flown a bit, but it was just, one of the other things was the pastime of Mrigari, the hunter, and how Prabhupada was explaining that, he was wondering, how am I going to get any food? How am I going to sustain myself? But then because of the situation, because he became a sadhu, so people were coming and dropping in, the arrangement was being made. And it was just making me think that at times we might not have clarity of our direction, even in Krishna consciousness. But just by sticking to the instructions that were being given, somehow or other, even in this space of not having any clarity, we get some clarity as time goes on, like that. Because if we're just relying on getting clarity, then we'll never move. You're in this space of anxiety, but by just hoping and trusting the instructions that we've been given by our spiritual masters, by our mentors, by our guides, then Krishna magically does create an arrangement and makes things get fixed, even if we're not able to see it, because we judge it based on our inability to see. But that's why Guru's there, because he's seeing beyond your own vision and your ability at the moment. So just trusting in him that actually, he's got it on cover, even if we might not get the evidence or the response that we're looking for, like that. Yeah. So I just thought that was something else.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I just spoke with somebody how, you see Mahabharata, that how Krishna arranges the small details in the life of small tweaks, like for Arjuna's sakes, like one shoot the arrow and Krishna arranges as the chariot goes down, he misses the arrow, like these small tweaks he does for the devotee. So all of who practice Devi's experience, they're not going to be perished. They're not going to. Krishna will arrange somehow or other. Yeah. You may be in anxiety, afraid of future, but somehow Krishna tweaks your life that we're able to practice Krishna consciousness regardless of everything. It's like, like small tweaks he makes. He knows already everything. He has all picture, every detail of your life. And he just arranges.
That's it. And the other thing I was just remembering, based on what you're mentioning about, that statement even where Krishna says in the Gita that in everything that you do, you think of him or you meditate on him. So with every action, that was the point. So, because at times on a practical level, you'd think, okay, so is it everything that I like when I take up the bottle? I'm thinking, how am I, going to serve the Lord like this? Or which can be difficult, but one way, or at least difficult for me, but one way I kind of understood it is if we actively take a mission for the Lord, then everything that we do will support that mission. Your eating will support that mission. Your sleeping will support that mission, because you're actively choosing to do this activity for the Lord's pleasure. So we're kind of impelled by Krishna to take up the mission of his mission aboard within ourselves. then everything that we do has to support that mission. Your job will support that mission. Your marriage will support that mission. You know, you coming to morning program with every activity supports that. So and that's the way we can fulfill that verse.
You see the goal. It's not like your goal is to drink or to eat or to get married, to get job. It's not. Goal is Krishna, and on the way, there's a side way. Okay, take this, but you progress into the goal. That's a thing.
So we have to take up that mission.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premananda.